I don't rush.
Yeah, like Mataji, a lot of devotees have gone to Vrindavan. Shabhasa Mataji, Puja Mataji. So our Sanskrit scholar is also not here. So I was thinking how we're gonna go.
Okay, well, whatever, or
Okay.
I'm good anyway.
Hare Krishna. So we're very fortunate today to have Her Grace Jayasri Mataji from New Vrindavan, West Virginia, USA. Mataji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 7.9.3. And also, Mataji, I think I requested for a short Damodar Lila to start off the day with the Kartik Mas going on. So,
Right.
Mataji, please take over.
Do you want me to do the Damodar first or at the end?
At the end, Mataji. And also, you can request. We have maybe someone is a Sanskrit scholar around.
Oh.
Otherwise, we can just skip the translation and go ahead with the Sanskrit and do the translation purport. If you know.
Okay.
That be the case. Yes, Mataji.
All right, I'll just see if anyone wants to do it. I know it's very specific and I hate to mess it up knowing I don't know.
Yes, Mataji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Astratir Satis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Astratir Satis Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Amanti Kurta Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sri Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from the beautiful Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, text number 3. Does someone want to do the Sanskrit? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Mataji, I can try maybe.
Yes, go ahead. I'm sure it'll be better than I can.
Yeah, mine is more like a Hindi will come into the play. Okay, Mataji? Yeah.
Perfect.
Hare Krishna. Praharadam Prisayam Asa Brahmavasti Tam Antike Tata Parasam Yo Pehi Swapitre Kupitam Prabham. Thank you, Mataji.
Very good. No, thank you. Arjam Prahlad Maharaj Prasyamasva requested Brahma, Lord Brahma, Asvistam, being situated on TK, very near Tata, my dear son, Prasmaya, just try to appease, Upi, go near, Swabriti, because of your father's demoniac activities. Kupitam, greatly angered, Brahma, the Lord. Translation. Thereafter, Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very near him. My dear son, Lord Nrsimhadev is extremely angry at your demoniac father. Please go forward and appease him, the Lord. So, one second. I thought there was a purport to this. Is there no purport to this?
No, Mataji.
Yes, okay. That's what I thought. Actually, I had gone on a bit, but then I thought I'd just do this one verse. Om Agana Timrandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksurunalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual masters kindly opening our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, so we offer our most humble and respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So here we have the great demon, Hiranyakasipu, who is terrorizing the universe, basically. Had all the demigods in check. Everyone was afraid of his power. And finally, the Lord appeared because Prahlad Maharaj was his son, and he had turned on Prahlad Maharaj and was trying in many ways to kill him. So the Lord had enough. He kept all the benedictions of the demon, and he put Hiranyakasipu on his lap, and with his lotus nails ripped him apart. And in one explanation, I saw that the blood of Hiranyakasipu was everywhere. It was all over the mane of Lord Nrsimhadev. And Nrsimhadev was so angry. You know, when people get angry, they lose their intelligence. They go mad. But in this case, the Lord was so rightfully angry, and he was just ready to chastise. So he was licking the blood of Hiranyakasipu off of his mane, and he was just so terrifying that the demigods didn't dare go near, and even Lakshmi wouldn't go anywhere near the Lord. So Lord Brahma, he pushed Prahlad Maharaj and encouraged him to please go forward and try and pacify the Lord's anger. So in the beginning of this chapter, there's like a summary. And I like the summary because it kind of puts everything together in one lump. Whereas as we go day by day, verse by verse, we're hearing a verse, but then we're hearing a long explanation with so many other things involved. And then we go on to the next verse. But here in the summary, Prabhupada kindly has just put the whole picture together. So I was going to read a little of that because I thought it was very interesting. As related in this chapter, Prahlad Maharaj, following the order of Lord Brahma, pacified the Lord when the Lord was extremely angry after having killed Hiranyakasipu. After Hiranyakasipu was killed, the Lord continued to be very angry, and the demigods headed by Lord Brahma could not pacify him. Even Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the constant companion of Narayan, could not dare come before Lord Nrsimhadev. Then Lord Brahma asked Prahlad Maharaj to go forward and pacify the Lord's anger. Prahlad Maharaj, being confident of the affection of his master, which I thought was really interesting, that Prahlad was able to do it because he was very confident. He's a child. He was confident of the affection of Lord Nrsimhadev, so he wasn't afraid to go forward. And I remember a story Raghunath Maharaj tells that there was a dangerous boat. I don't know, it wasn't the Titanic, but one of those boats that could sink. And everyone was screaming and so afraid. And there was a little boy, he was standing there. And he wasn't showing any signs of fear. And someone asked him, what's happening? Why aren't you afraid? He said, I'm not afraid because my mother's here. You know, it's like the mentality was, oh, my mother's here, so I'm safe. Even though he wasn't, it turned out that nothing happened, but still the idea. So the pure devotee of the Lord, he's not afraid because the Lord's there. So he feels safe. So Prahlad, he saw the anger, he saw his father ripped apart, but he wasn't afraid because he had that confidence that the Lord was affectionate towards him. So he very gravely appeared before the Lord's lotus feet and offered him respectful obeisances. Lord Nrsimhadev, being very much affectionate toward Prahlad Maharaj, put his hand on Prahlad's head. And because of being personally touched by the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj immediately achieved Brahmagyan, spiritual knowledge. Thus he offered his prayers to the Lord in full spiritual knowledge and full devotional ecstasy. The instructions given by Prahlad Maharaj in the form of his prayers are as follows. So, of course, they're really long prayers, but I was going to read. Prahlad said, I'm not proud of being able to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm simply taking shelter of the mercy of the Lord. For without devotion, one cannot appease him. One cannot please the personality of Godhead simply by dint of high parentage and great opulence, learning, austerity, penance, or mystic power. Indeed, these are never pleasing to the Supreme Lord, for nothing can please him but pure devotional service. Even if a non-devotee is a Brahmin, qualified by the 12 Brahminical symptoms, he cannot be very dear to the Lord. Whereas if a person born in a family of dog eaters is a devotee, the Lord can accept his prayers. The Lord does not need anyone's prayers, but if a devotee offers his prayers to the Lord, the devotee benefits greatly. Ignorant persons born in low families, therefore, can sincerely offer heartfelt prayers to the Lord, and the Lord will accept them. As soon as one offers his prayers to the Lord, he is immediately situated in Brahma, the Brahman platform. So to me, it was amazing how much of a difference it is when someone is a pure devotee. And they know the actual nature and disposition of the Lord. We see in this world, people are so enamored by materialism and so absorbed in materialism that their whole existence is spent literally running after ways to make money, ways to enjoy. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go to this dance, let's go to the bar, let's drink this, let's go to this movie, let's go to the restaurant. It's like they're so busy in this adventure looking for happiness and just diving into this material situation. But we see that a pure devotee has such a different idea of what's going on around him. And the non-devotee, or they may be a beginning devotee, a very, very, very neophyte devotee. They're so much enamored by the materialism around them that their prayers are only for benefiting themselves and their family materially. Up at the palace, we give tours to all kinds of people. And many people, whether they're of Indian descent or Western or wherever, they're not always spiritually oriented. They don't necessarily come to the palace because it's a spiritual place. They come to the palace because it's a tourist attraction in this area, so they want to see. But they get a little bit of a taste. And that's one of the things that we touch on sometimes is what is it we're doing? What are you doing here? What are we doing here in this place, in this world? If we're simply running after materialism, we've kind of missed the boats, and we need to back up a little bit and try and get on at least a little bit of a path of spirituality. So that the different devotees, it's like the Lord's a touchstone. We read in the text of the great literatures these different prayers from different devotees. But without the touch of the Lord and that devotion, everything is just very mundane. So a great devotee like Srila Prabhupada was able to know the loving emotions of the Lord. And he himself was able to write prayers to attract the Lord because of his love. And he was able to come to this place, this Kali Yuga of very, very neophyte personalities, and start to nourish and nurture that devotional seed in the heart, or plant it and then nurture it. Such a rare personality. The purports, there's so many great literatures. There's like the Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gitas, there's all kinds of Bhagavad Gitas. And those are the words of Krishna. But the people who are explaining them, if they don't have that personal contact with the Lord, if they don't have a clear and concise picture of the nature and the personality of the Lord, they don't know really how to explain what the Lord's saying. So they often end up putting an explanation that's either totally wrong or very wishy-washy, just not really what's supposed to be given by someone who's an exalted person like Srila Prabhupada. So Prahlad Maharaj, he was confident of the affection of the Lord, and he wasn't afraid. And we're able to see deeper because of his prayers. I was on a class on Sunday evening. It was a Bhagavad Gita, like an online reading. And one of the devotees was saying how he had come across this Bhagavad Gita, and he was surprised that the explanation given by the person who had presented the Bhagavad Gita was just totally the opposite of what Krishna had just said. And I told him that when I was young and I had first met Srila Prabhupada, I was reading a Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada told me to bring it. And he had me sit down and he looked through it and he said, do you see? Do you see what this man has done? And this man was, I don't want to say well known, but he was one of those Mayavadi sannyasis that had made his way into the realm of people of the West somewhat. He said, here's this translation. This is what Krishna said. And do you see what he's done? He said exactly the opposite of what Krishna has said. And Prabhupada closed the book. He said, so what? And he pulled up, he said, what's the good, basically? He pulled up his Bhagavad Gita. He said, this is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna spoke it, as Krishna meant it. So he said, the angle of vision, or the spiritual position which someone is in, is what we're going to gain from. And if someone is, say, a Mayavadi who doesn't even believe in Krishna, then what is the value, basically? So I bought 3 Bhagavad Gitas from Srila Prabhupada that day. I passed them out. So we see that the demon was killed, and that Prahlad made the most beautiful and respectful prayers. He knows that he's a special and pure soul. Here he says, "Oh, my worshipful Lord, because the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core of everyone's heart, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee." Prahlad says that in his prayers. So he knows that he's come here by the will of the Lord. I didn't realize that he says this, that he came by the will of the Lord into the material creation to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. He knows that he's come on a mission to assist the Lord. How special is that? In the end of the prayers, the Lord speaks to Prahlad and he explains, quote, "One who always remembers your activities and my activities also, and who chants the prayers you have offered, becomes free in due course of time from the reactions of the material activities." There is just so much spiritual literature. I mean, Srila Prabhupada has given us a mountain. To me, I'm like the spider in Ramchandra's pastimes. I'm flicking my little bit of sand here and there. I've done the service. But there's so many that are just throwing boulders. Some people they're vastly learned in this philosophy. Even knew some of the so-called, I'm an old person and an older devotee for many years. So if someone's even been around 20 years, to me, they're on the newer side. But some of these people are just like vastly learned in these scriptures, and not just in what Prabhupada's presented, but the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, Rupa Goswami, Chief Goswami, the list goes on. They're quoting from all over the place. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But someone like me, it's like very simple-minded, simple-hearted. So if we're able to stay focused and do what we can, just reading prayers like the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj are going to benefit us so much. Just chanting attentively is going to benefit us so much. When Prabhupada presented the Krishna book, he basically said that he's presented this book. It's a summary study of the 10th canto. And he mentioned for the women and the children, because a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women like stories. not necessarily deep philosophy, the different layers of the universe, and all these different coverings of the living entity, and the prayers of the personified Vedas. I mean, some people are fortunate that they have not only a deep taste, but great ability to dive into these literatures. But not all of us are in that caliber. So to know that just by reading and studying the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, we can make great advancement. It's very reassuring. It's like it says, Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. The advanced, the non-advanced, the literate, the illiterate. I mean, if somebody, the 9 process of devotional service, remembering Krishna, if someone was even illiterate and they took even an 1/8 or a 16th of the beautiful pictures that were produced during Prabhupada's time of Krishna's pastimes in these books, even if they covered their wall with these pictures, they could become Krishna conscious, chant Hare Krishna, and remember Krishna. If that's all, it's like the story of the Brahmin and Lord Chaitanya. He was in ecstasy. He was illiterate, but his spiritual master told him to read the Bhagavad Gita. But whenever he opened it, all he could see was how much Krishna loved Arjuna. And he was driving his chariot, and the Brahmin would cry and just be so happy and Krishna conscious. So it doesn't matter where we are, or in our spiritual life or in our material life. What is it? Make the best use, Prabhupada said in the beginning, make the best use of a bad bargain. So I thought, well, this is the bargain I've gotten in this life. Somehow or other, I've made this bargain. So then we make the best use of it. So we go on. Here's Lord Nrsingadev in text 13. He's telling Prahlad, while you are in this material world, you will exhaust all the reactions of pious activities by feeling happiness, and by acting piously, you will neutralize impious activities. Because of the powerful time factor, you will give up your body, but the glories of your activities will be sung in the upper planetary systems, and being freed from all bondage, you will return back to Godhead. So what a close relationship. They're personally together. Prahlad's come here to do this pastime with the Lord, and he's just telling them he's going to be happy, he's going to have a nice life, and at the end he's going to go back to Godhead, free from bondage, all bondage. How special. So it appears that the great souls are like guiding lights to the conditioned living entities, whereas the prayers of the conditioned souls are generally very self-centered. So throughout the Bhagvatam, there's so many different prayers. There are really a lot of them. You have Queen Kunti's prayers, which Prabhupada made a book out of. You have the prayers of Lord Brahma after he stole the cows and he's praying to Krishna. You have the prayers of surrender of Gajendra. In his past, he had certain prayers, and when he was being attacked by the crocodile, he was in so much stress. He was the king of the elephants, and he had gone there to bathe with all of his family members, and he was grabbed by a crocodile. And in the water, a crocodile is very powerful. No matter how strong an elephant is on land, in the water, he's almost powerless. So this crocodile was pulling him, and Gajendra was losing strength and hope. But he remembered these prayers. And somehow or other, during the most trying times of my life, these are the prayers that I recite, the prayers of Gajendra, the Gajendra Moksha. And I have always had Krishna's kind mercy, and I do attribute it some to these prayers. You have Dhruva's prayers. Anyway, there's so many prayers in the Bhagavatam by such exalted souls intermingled in these different pastimes. But they're all so different than any mundane conditioned soul or even aspiring devotee can produce. Anyone who's covered by the material energy is not able to produce really deep prayers. So we're making our way out of this mire of conditioned ignorance. And we're, like Prabhupada says, we're on our way back home, back to Godhead through this struggle for existence. So then we have the prayers of the great acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, Jayadev Goswami, Lochan Das Thakur, Govinda Das, that songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. Those are prayers. Those are prayers written by these great souls, and they're so deep and so inspiring. I personally like a lot of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers because he always portrays himself as what many of us are, actually, deeply conditioned souls, lusty, desiring wealth, happy when we see others suffering. You know, he portrays himself in such a humble way. It's such a good lesson. We have a tendency to be proud. Look at me, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm so this, I'm so that. It's just like, whoa, we're in such a diseased condition, but we're of course on the right path and we're doing the right things, but we want to be careful not to water the weeds of pride and envy and power. You know, we don't want to grow the wrong tree or bush or plant in our heart. We want to stay on the path to grow the plant of devotion, and that's humility and tolerance and patience and love and respect for others. Those things, those qualities that Lord Chaitanya points to in the Shikshastika, and those are prayers. Those are instructions. He's praying. Lord Chaitanya is praying to Krishna. Amazing, beautiful prayers. And we're fortunate, we're recipients of these mentalities of devotion. That's why it says just a moment's association with a pure devotee, because their mentality, their being, is all about devotion to Krishna. And so we get tainted, touched by that devotion. And the opposite is true. We go into places of sinful places, or places of, even within the time frame of our day, a movie or a association of non-devotees. That's one of the things that we're warned against, because we are like little sponges. We absorb the energy, the thought, the place of the other living entities. So to surround ourselves with non-devotees, we get tainted by their way of thinking and doing things. By surrounding ourselves with devotees and with spiritual teachers, like these great souls and these great prayers and the books, it gives us that association. Like when they first started doing book distribution, Prabhupada told them, just let them touch the book. if that's all they do, that's so the book distributors, probably even today, they put the book in someone's hand. Even if the person gives it back to them, it's given them that association of something that they have no access to in the present day. When Prabhupada was young, he talks about, I mean, there was no TV, there was no, like all the movies, and they would have, at night, the families would gather and they would have an arti, or they would read from the Ramayana or Mahabharata, Prabhupada said, and you would go to sleep dreaming Ramayana or Mahabharata. You know, there was now chances are still good, because on the media, there's all kinds of tons of opportunities to, if you can't make it to the temple, there's like so many ways you can go to a temple remotely for Damodar Astika, or just put it on YouTube, and there's all kinds of Damodar Astikas that you can turn on. You know, the opportunities there. But it was much more simple and personal when Prabhupada was young. It's a different time. So in the Nectar of Devotion, I love the Nectar of Devotion. It's just so down to earth and simple and instructive and sweet. Nectar of Devotion. There's a section called Reciting Notable Prayers. According to great learned scholars, the whole Bhagavad Gita contains many authorized prayers, especially in the 11th chapter, where Arjuna prays to the universal form. There's also the prayers of the personified Vedas. Similarly, in the Gautamiya Tantra, all the verses are called prayers. Again, in the Srimad Bhagvatam, there are hundreds of prayers to the Lord. So a devotee should select some of these prayers for his recitation. In the Skanda Purana, the glories of these prayers are stated as follows. Devotees whose tongues are decorated always with prayers to Lord Krishna are always given respect even by the great saintly persons and sages, and such devotees are actually worshipable by the demigods. Those who are less intelligent want to worship different demigods for some material gain rather than worship Krishna. But here it is stated that a devotee who is always engaged in offering prayers to the Lord is worshipable even by the demigods. The pure devotees have nothing to ask from any demigod. Rather, the demigods are anxious to offer prayers to the pure devotees. In the Nrsimha Purana, it is stated, any person who comes before the deity of Lord Krishna and begins to chant different prayers is immediately relieved from all the reactions of sinful activities and becomes eligible without a doubt to enter the Vaikuntha Loka. How wonderful. How wonderful is that? I love doing this class, not because I can do it, and not because I can give a good class. It's embarrassing. I'm just such a mudha. But I love doing it because I learn so much. It's different. Going to a class, you hear, and many times, if you're not at the temple sitting, you're multitasking while you're trying to listen to a class. So you get something out of it. But when you have to give a class, you actually get much deeper into it. It's wonderful. So there's an old book called The Second Chance. It's about Ajamil getting a second chance. And there was a quote, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia. Oh, I know what the point was. All right. So sorry to backtrack. So there's 9 processes. Oops, yeah. Sorry. Telemarketer trying to sell me healthcare. Sorry about that. So the 9 processes of devotional service, right? Oh, 1 second. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarnam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, serving the lotus feet. But I remember that in one of the explanations to the 9 processes of devotional service, Prabhupada says praying. And I looked in several places, and Prabhupada did not mention praying, but I did find it, because praying is a way of remembering and chanting. If you can pray by especially praying these prayers, like Prabhupada said in this purport, prayers of the great souls, to what does he say? So a devotee should select some of these prayers for his recitation. If one goes in front of the Lord and prays with the prayers of some of these great souls, then he's doing it the right way. So in this second chant, Prabhupada says, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering these, serving the lotus feet, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming a servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything to him. These are the 9 processes of pure devotional service. So he says different things in different ways. I get amazed. How is it possible that someone in their late 70s, traveling 14 times around the world in 10 years, opening 108 temples, dealing with thousands of disciples, and what to speak of other people that weren't disciples, preaching to them, giving lectures, how someone could write such a huge amount of extensive, perfect literature? How is that possible? It's like a miracle. Prabhupada was so empowered. Sometimes I just get astounded. I can see why to think of the spiritual master as an ordinary man, it's an offense, because that just means that somehow or other we've gotten covered over. We have to be very careful when we realize we're in that situation, because we're like imprisoned by this ignorance and this lack of real Krishna consciousness. We want to expand our outlook, our consciousness, to be so much broader. What are the great souls? They're called broad-minded Mahatmas. They are very broad-minded. That's definitely a rare quality. We want to be very careful to know that we are really not very advanced, that we are really starting out. No matter how long we've been around, it doesn't mean that we're super advanced. We need to stay serious. Prabhupada told me, be serious, very serious always. Of course, I'm not, but just the fact that I have the instruction makes me focus. It makes me remember. So fortunate. We're so fortunate. Anyway, I think it's time to stop, and we wanted to do a little Damodar, right? I hope I didn't lose everybody. Are you there?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much for the wonderful class and your realization. I wish we could go on and on.
I know. Once you get into it, it's like, I find, and I've never done an online, like a Zoom reading group before. Wow, I am so impressed. And there's a difference between giving a class to a group or being in a group and you're all reading and discussing. That is so helpful. it's really, I'm doing it, and I'm not doing it with Prabhupada disciples. Somehow or other, I'm doing it with young people that are friends of my children. Of course, my children are like 50 years old now, 47 years old now. But I'm astounded by how wonderful and how much it helps me. All right, so I am going to read a little bit from the Krishna book. I thought that would be a fun place. So this is Krishna book, chapter 9, Mother Yasoda binding Lord Krishna, that naughty Krishna. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yasoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned, she sang the childhood pastimes of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her breasts, which moved as she labored very hard. Churning with 2 hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings and breasts shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garlands which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry out of love his mother. And out of love for his mother, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast and then churn butter later. When Yasoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth, and while Krishna was suckling the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly, milk which was on the stove, the oven, began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yasoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the oven, calls it an oven. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became angry, and his lips and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. In the meantime, Mother Yasoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt was kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She began to smile, and she thought, this child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left the place fearing punishment. After she sought all over, she found a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down, and she found her son sitting on it. He was taking butter, which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that in fear of her. He was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, quickly saw her coming at him with a stick in her hands, and he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Okay, is that good?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. And thank you for emphasizing the point that, like giving a class is different from, because you have to prepare. It's like examination,
Yeah.
It's like in a classroom, when we are sitting and hearing, it's like sometimes our mind is going here and there. We're in a passive state. But when, a teacher has to prepare something, then some preparation has to be done a little bit. Otherwise, yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I think that it's really helpful. So some of us who are not like completely neophyte in giving classes should try to give classes to the walls of the house. I'm just thinking,
Yes.
if not to the audience, to just practice, because I think Srila Prabhupada also mentions that you can even preach to the walls. Have I heard that, or am I just?
No, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that.
Okay.
Some of
Yeah.
his disciples were saying that no one was coming to some of their programs. I think the ones that went to London, but I can't remember the details. But he said,
Yeah.
preach to the walls. Prabhupada said that too.
It's amazing to hear these things, Mataji, in Krishna consciousness. Consciousness, it sticks in the mind. Like, if you tell any materialistic person, this person is giving class, no one is coming, so he's giving class to the walls. So they'll probably think that something is wrong. So many things in Krishna consciousness, are very hard to understand from materialistic point of view. Uh, like, for example, we are doing the Prahlad Maharaj's situation. So I heard that Prahlad Maharaj would not address his father as dad or papa, but
Right.
he would say the best among the asuras,
Best of the demons.
best of the demons.
Yeah.
So now didn't the father get offended by hearing this?
Well, I mean, he was offended by so many things that Prahlad said.
Like, imagine us saying that to the children, telling, hey, best of the demon. I mean, he's so brave that he's addressing him and making him aware there's a demon, and he's so much in ignorance that he accepts it, that yes, he's calling me that. So he was not worried about that aspect. What he was worried is that I'm God, and why are you worshipping Vishnu? But calling him demon didn't affect him. So I mean, you can see the ignorant mind. I mean, I'm just so, like, such things are there in Bhagavatam and other places. It's amazing. So anyway, Mataji, I want to ask others just few comments I had. If anybody has any question, comments for Mataji, then they can go ahead. Mataji is Srila Prabhupada's disciple, and she's resides in New Vrindavan, and so we're very fortunate to have her, and only few our speakers are Prabhupada disciples, so we're very, very fortunate and blessed having them on the call. And I think that's why this call has been running for so many years, I think 10 years or whatever, because we have Prabhupada disciples coming here and blessing us. So anybody has any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for a very, very enlightening class. Hari Bol.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for tolerating me. I was thinking of something that Prabhupada did or said, but now I can't. You were talking nicely, and I should have written it down. Oh, I know what I was going to say. In Hawaii, one time when Prabhupada came there, someone had set up a talk at the university, which was very close to where our little center was. And it was in a big auditorium. And I don't know if they didn't advertise it, but I remember we all went there with Srila Prabhupada, and like nobody came. It was like probably had 400 seats. He was up on the stage. I can't remember if they brought it. They must have brought a Vyasa-san for him, but nobody came, maybe one or two people. And Prabhupada just went on as if nothing. He just went on and gave a whole lecture, very detached. He was doing his service, and he knew the disciples were there, and he just did it. He just did his service. He didn't get angry. He wasn't like frustrated. Oh, I've come all the way here and there's nobody. It was just, he just sat down and started chanting and gave a lecture. I was impressed. All right, I am going to go up to the temple, 8:30. Let's see. 8:23. All right, very good. Anything else?
Thank you so much, Mataji. No, like, I just wanted to ask others if anybody else has any comment, question. Mataji has to go. And Mataji is staying in the temple. So many services are there. So, and like you said in your class that, whoever we associate, the association rubs on us. Hopefully it's rubbing on us on the call, Mataji, virtually. Yeah.
No, I'm not in a big rush. I mean, it's early in the morning. I usually set up the Damodar items up at the temple.
Okay.
But they've already done it. So I asked somebody else to do it this morning.
Yes.
But I go to the temple every day.
Nice, Mataji.
Not always the facility,
And Mataji, in December, you're traveling to your son's place in California.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be
I know
there.
you very ritual, not ritualistic. Every year you do that, like a fixed.
Well,
Yeah, nice.
because of my health, I mean,
Yeah.
I lived in New Vrindavan for 40 some years. So for the first probably 35 years, I was here every winter and had no problem. But when you get older and if your health is really bad, you need to get outside, you need the sunshine. I can't do that here. So I started going when I got really sick, like maybe 10 years ago or maybe a little longer, leaving for the winter and going to Florida to Alachua.
Yes.
But then
I never realized it's like snow. It's very cold in where you are, so you have to leave the place. Yes.
you can't spend time outside. It's too cold. Even if it doesn't snow, it's cold, 10 degrees, 20 degrees. How do you go outside? There's no leaves on the trees. There's no flowers. There's no, I have to be outside and I have to be in the sun. And, I mean, I don't have to, I could stay here, but if I have an opportunity to be in Alachua for a few months or when
Mataji, when you're coming down south here in Alachua, Florida, Orlando, let us know, because here our winters are like coming and going. It's a sunshine state, and we go as per summer only. In winter, I mean, there's a chilling in the air, but the you don't need sweaters in the afternoon. But sometimes the cold waves come from the north. But basically, it's such a tropical weather that we really don't. The winter really doesn't hit us, but it becomes quite severe in January somehow. Yeah, January till 1st to 15th, it becomes really cold. We have to put the heat on for not 1 day, 4-5 days, and that too we get frustrated. Like, like we're putting heat on, and now we can't go out. It's so cold outside.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how it is. But
So
but then
Mataji, are you in Orlando?
Yes, Mataji, 2 hours away from Alachua. So whenever you're coming to Alachua, Mataji, let us know. We can take your darshan. We can meet you.
Oh, that would be nice. Well, I'm not coming this year. I'm going to California again. So know that Sadhu Sangha is in Orlando this year?
Yes, Mataji. It is happening in Orlando this year. I don't know exactly. It's a huge, they already started booking.
I know.
And it's a huge accommodation. Yes. So you're coming for that, Mataji?
Well, Malachi and I were going to go. And then we both tried to get online to book. But to book for one person, they want $675.
Oh.
To book for two people, they want $900 and something.
Okay.
So she and I both said, forget it.
But Mataji, I think there is something for the Prabhupada disciples. So you come in that category?
Yes. And I did write to Rasika Saramani and told her we couldn't we couldn't seem to get reservations.
Yes.
He said, if you share a room with 4 people, then the cost is $320. And then you get the Prabhupada disciples get their money back. But they only get $350 back.
Okay.
So if Malachi and I booked a room, we would be paying $900 between the two of us. We would be getting $600 and something, $700 back.
Okay.
It's just, when you're at this age and not been doing 9-to-5 jobs for your whole life, and you don't have a lot of Social Security and savings, to hold up $900 on a credit card until May and have to pay it off and then get part of it back in May, this is not doable.
What is it for, Mataji?
What's that?
What is this event?
Sadhu Sangha. If you have a chance, you should go look it up online. Sadhu Sangha. It's every year. This year it's in Florida, in Orlando. It's at a big hotel, and only the people that are in the hotel can attend. They won't take outside people. If you live in Orlando, you can't go unless you register. And
yes, Mataji, because they're also providing prasadam and everything. So it's a whole package. So you can't say, well, I don't want a place to stay. but I
Right.
only want to come, you cannot do that. You need that. They put a wristband around you and stuff like that, because they also have to prepare, and they have to pay the hotel. So it has to be, everybody has to shell out some Lakshmi, and then, accordingly.
What are the dates?
Memorial Day.
Memorial weekend.
Memorial Day.
And what's the website to look at?
Something I can send you, Mataji, something in
Okay,
regard to that.
Yeah,
Thank
no, it's definitely worth going to. Malati, I mean, Radhanath Maharaj is going to be there. She really wants to go. So we'll see. We'll see if something turns up that we can go. But as it is, where neither one of us are going to put up that kind of money to get some of it back in May. So anyway.
Yeah. And also, Mataji, Geeta Mataji, can you please quickly send me your email address? Because the last email I have from Sadhu Sangha is got the update of
Sure.
some books. Something is booked, and now what is the next phase they're going to? So
Yeah.
from there, you can also email them and get connected. That's the best way. Best way is that way. And then, of course, because they're updating you like that. So just send me your email address, Mataji.
I'm just thank you.
Yeah.
Well, they encourage, when the first thing that I got encouraged you to get the app, the Sadhu Sangha app on your phone, or
Okay. Yes, Mataji.
then everything is there, and that's where you register.
So Mataji, I went twice, and so like the thing is, it's a Memorial Day weekend. From everyone from my family doesn't go. So like, for example, my husband is not going, so then it gets hard for me, just to go by myself, and the whole family is here. It's a long weekend. So I went twice with my family who didn't want to go. They also went, but I had a feel of it. But it's really worth going, like you said, Mataji. It is. If you've not been.
Yes, it is.
It's very nice. Prasadam and Kirtan and all devotees. So many devotees all over the. Amazing.
Well, we went to the first one. We went like three or four times. Malati's done more than that, but it usually it's not so expensive. So anyway, no worries. I get enough Sadhu Sangha here in New Vrindavan.
Yes, Mataji, and we're getting on the conference call every day. Also a little bit every day. Yeah. Okay, Mataji. So last minute question, comments. Otherwise, we're going to end the call now. How many people are there? Anybody has any comment, question for Mataji? Everybody's like, okay. So we pay our obeisance to all the devotees. Vancha kalpatrubhascha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Jayasri Mataji ki jai. And thank you to all the devotees. Dwadashi ki jai. Everybody enjoy prasadam today. Break the fast, and Dwadashi ki jai, Ekadashi ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Jayasri Mataji.
No, I said thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay.
Thank
you. Yeah, Geeta Mataji, thank you so much. You